Welcome to Zone Refresh, Updates and Restarts, Zone Maintenance. We'll get started. So we're going to talk today a couple of differences between a zone refresh, a zone update, and a zone restart. I'm going to kind of go through each one, kind of provide some information, display in the zone if there's anything that kind of, that you need in order to kind of move forward with it. Let's start with zone refresh. So a zone refresh copies zone data, so the candidate requisition, field, questions, information, basically all of the configuration from one zone to another zone. So the target zone, basically that would be your staging zone, because you would want your staging zone to be refreshed with production data and configuration. What happens to your staging zone or your target zone, it basically is overwritten. So that's an important piece to kind of remember when you're planning a zone refresh, is that if you have anything in your staging zone that you're testing and the configuration has not been done in production, you will lose that information. So very important to do that checkpoint, or to ask your clients if there's anything in the staging zone that you may need to configure in production but not activate, so that you don't lose the work that's been done. The types of refresh, so there's a standard refresh that basically kind of copies the configuration, replaces it in your staging zone. This definitely is something that you want to do, because if you make lots of changes in production and you're trying to test out some new features or an issue, you want to, kind of have your staging zone in line with your production zone. So you do need to create a request with My Oracle support. You would do that when you kind of select the problem type. There is a section that is called Zone Maintenance Requests, and you would just go here and select Zone Refresh. The one thing that you need to remember, Zone Refresh, your 2 zones, or maybe even 3 zones if you have a test zone, they need to be on the same version. So you would check that out by going to your Welcome Center, and under Resources, there is an About link. So they have to be on the same version. Your zone that you're copying from and your target zone need to be the same. All candidates will be copied over. There used to be a limitation, but that limitation was removed in 2016. The one thing that doesn't come over is candidate attachments. They will not be copied over, and that's a change that was made in 2018. A couple of other points is your reporting, so your OBI, your reports will not be copied over, or your folder structure will not be copied over. The data that is copied from your production zone is done the Friday before your refresh date. So it's usually at 4 p.m. Eastern time, and it's the Friday before. There's different options that you can kind of request in terms of data masking. So it will mask, standard masking will mask the email address. So it will kind of have the @invalidemail.com. If you do a full masking, it will do various fields that will just be completely mixed up with the candidates. There is more information on data masking that you can kind of look at under My Oracle support by just doing a knowledge search on data masking. If you do not want any data masking, that is a request that you would have to put in your ticket. But the email notifications will be disabled. So you will have to remember to request re-enabling email notification to my Oracle support. In terms of scheduling zone refreshes, you can have a maximum of 1 refresh per quarter. And that again, if there is circumstances that you need more, that is something that you would need to kind of request by my Oracle support. The scheduling is done and decided upon by Oracle, and there are times, depending on how busy it is, a zone refresh can take 4 to 6 weeks to get scheduled. So it is really important that you plan this in advance if you know that it's coming up. If there's a specific date that you're wanting, you can kind of request that, but just make sure that you're timely because it is on a specific schedule with Oracle, and there are times when it will take longer. They're only scheduled on weekdays, so this type of operation cannot be done on weekends. And they will not, you can request that, it doesn't need to be done during your maintenance window, especially because of the fact that it's your testing or staging zone. So it could be done during the day and your staging zone or your testing zone could be down. Could take, depending on the size of your zone, it could be a couple hours to 5-6 hours, depends on the size. If you are using some specific integrations, so Fusion, like Fusion HCM, just make sure when you're doing your ticket that you kind of provide that information, because there is a specific option in terms of scheduling a refresh with Fusion. Fusion HCM, and there's more information on that you can kind of do a knowledge search on. So the next one that we're going to talk about is zone upgrades. So zone upgrades is basically going from one version to another version. And this is something that, this is 21C2. You can request to kind of have a zone upgrade, but Oracle has changed their ways in terms of scheduling the zone upgrades. There has been times where if you need to postpone it for a little bit, whether it's your staging zone or your production zone, you can make that request to my Oracle support by doing a ticket to ask for that movement. One of you will get an email, so what's called a PCN, so that's a problem change notification or product zone or change notification that will advise you what build you'll be going to. So right now my version is 21C.2. I could get a PCN that would say I'm moving to 21D, and it would provide me all of the information. So from a zone upgrade perspective, there are what we called quarterly updates. There are maintenance packs and there's express packs. So the quarterly update may or may not contain new features, but it would have some enhanced features and as well as some fixes. A maintenance pack, for the most part, contains bug fixes, and they're denoted by, so like a 21C, that is the update. C.2 is the maintenance pack. And an express pack will only be released when it's a bug fix for a severe issue, and they can't wait until the next maintenance pack. So in that situation, what would happen, it would almost be like a 21C.2.1. So that would explain the express pack. So in terms of suggested downtime, the usual downtime is about 3 hours. That would be done within your maintenance time. And it would not have, your updates may include other updates separate than your zone for, say, reporting or TCC, like an integration. When you do have an upgrade, so some of the post-processing, after it's been completed, so there are various components that Oracle will kind of go through. One of the things that you want to do is a walkthrough. So after you have a zone upgrade, there is definitely the strategy of having your zone updated in staging first and doing some testing. So that's like a walkthrough from beginning and end, just to kind of make sure that there is no surprises, that there are no issues with the update. And the other thing that you want to do is if you have any type of zone fixes that are that you've identified in a previous zone, then you want to test those out to see if they've been rectified in this update. So the last one we're going to talk about is a zone restart. And restarting a zone, it can take up to 60 minutes. It's a lot less time than the zone update or the zone refresh. And it's basically used for clearing information. So sometimes you may have a issue that you're going through, and for the most part, zone restarts are decided by my Oracle support. It basically will clear current information in the server memory and load the entities, and that many times can resolve some issues. There's some other reasons why you may want to have a zone restart, or Oracle may suggest that you're going to have a zone restart. It can be field changes that you've done, but they're not being reflected. If you add an additional language, you need to kind of have a zone restart to kind of have it display. Any type of zone infrastructure. So if there was changes with whitelists or IP address, updating of EEO establishment lists. So there's various reasons for a zone restart, but for the most part, it is decided by Oracle support in terms of whether that is needed in your zone or not. So that's information in terms of zone maintenance. I hope that it helped you out. So we have reviewed zone refreshes, zone updates, and zone restarts. Thank you.